Welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today I have my friend CJ Silvas here, who is an entrepreneur, real estate investor. We're going to talk about the real estate investor portion of it in a minute. But I'm going to ask you a question, Chris. We were just talking about this offline. And this is, by the way, this is time number 2 or 3 for you, maybe. I don't know. I forgot.
I think it's the third time.
This is the third time, brother. And hopefully we'll do 20 times more. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I love it.
We just keep evolving, right? But you know what I was thinking this morning, Chris? I should change the name to my podcast.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many, I think your last event, I almost view it as like the pivot event almost, right? It was like a bunch of entrepreneurs that have been pivoting and being creative and finding other ways to build companies and revenue streams and different things like that outside of real estate. Corey Geary, right? I mean, our good friend Corey, like, man, like those guys are crushing it with crypto. Right. And he came from real estate. You came from real estate. I came from real estate. And offline, we were just talking about it, without getting political, we no longer identify as real estate investors.
Yeah. And, and tomorrow to this morning, I woke up, man, and I was thinking about that. I'm like, I keep calling my events real estate, this real estate. That. Yeah, it's a bunch of real estate people coming together.
Right.
But I think in reality, you and I and Corey and a few other people, we have actually pivoted into more of the entrepreneur world and the real estate. And I made that post a couple of weeks ago or a month ago or so. I forgot how long it was, but for many years, when like my first identity was I am a landlord, and that was my identity, right? And then it went from I am a landlord to I'm a fix and flipper. And then it went from I am a fix and flipper into I'm a wholesaler now.
Right.
Now, all across the different lanes, it was always I'm a real estate investor. Right. And at the events, we even did what do you call that? Like a prayer, if you will, that says, I am a real estate investor and I will do whatever it takes to help as many families transition into a better world. But on the last event, you're right, man. I felt like we pivoted into something else. And I just think I'm going to rename the whole thing. At some point, I'm going to rebrand it and it's going to be more entrepreneurship than anything else.
Give the audience a sneak peek at some of the names you're thinking about.
I haven't thought about it, to be honest with you. That was just today. Okay. And we're doing this live. We're completely streaming live. And I'm doing 2 projects right now in real estate related. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna do more real estate projects.
Right.
I may always have a project going on, something, whether I'm wholesaling or maybe building roof for toys, which is something I have put in the back burner of our projects. But that brings me into you. So you've been here a few times and you've scaled multiple times, fixing and flipping, wholesaling, creative financing, listing it on the MLS. I remember the last time you told me, you and Carlos, actually, I think it was Carlos. He said, Ricardo, you got to see how we're killing it on the MLS. And he gave me the whole formula on how you guys were taking these houses down and buying them up and getting you on the deed and then putting them, kind of like an ovation, but somehow you were putting money into it. And all I could think of inside was, oh my God, that's so complicated. Like, why are these guys doing all these, jumping through all these hurdles, right?
Right.
And then the second question was like, is that even scalable? Because it takes a lot of skills to do what you do. Like when it comes to take down, but like you got to think outside the box. Number one, have money available, maybe some private lenders, persuade the seller to give you the property on some weird ass terms. You know,
Right. Right.
and I remember you guys telling, this is in Orlando, I think, this is back in October when we were in your car, we're driving back to the hotel. Tell me about all those projects, man. Like what do you see now that you are almost on the other side, I would say, into the terms of the creative deals that you guys were putting together and put it on the MLS?
Yeah, I think, and that's a good point, Ricardo. And actually, before we go into that, I kind of want to just take a moment to pay homage to you. For everybody out there that's listening, I wouldn't be in this seat where I'm at right now without the help of Ricardo. He's one of my mentors, one of my teachers for life. I was
Most
a pretty
importantly, we're friends, brother. That's the
yes.
most importantly.
For sure, absolutely, family. And I was pretty good at closing, but I just always like to tell the story when I reached out to you. It was a Facebook message. We didn't know each other at all, and I just said, "Hey, Ricardo, I do real estate, and I'm just kind of plateauing, feel stuck." And you were like, "Hey, man, come to my office. Let's just talk." And everything changed after that. I wouldn't change any of that because it really helped me grow. Ricardo, I feel like one of your superpowers is kind of like the organization and the structure and the systems and the processes of a business, right? And it just opened my eyes to a whole bunch more. So I just want to say thank you to you, Ricardo. Again,
My
I wouldn't be
pleasure,
here
brother.
without you.
I do it out of love, and out of wanting to see other people succeed as well, right? I was on a podcast this morning, and Joe is his name. He was asking me questions about why I do what I do, and I just really I had to think about that for a second, and then I said, you know what, man, I really do this to help other people out. There's no
Mm,
other gratification than seeing other people succeed, and that I was able to help them get there.
mm.
That I was able to facilitate that happen. So, oops, connection lost. So I guess we got kicked off. Let's see. If you're watching this live, can you send me a message? Then we're live and we're frozen. You back there, CJ?
I'm here. I can see you. I can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know. We lost the internet or something. I don't know what it was, but
Can you see me and hear me?
it's like yeah, I can see you and hear you, brother.
Okay.
Loud and clear. So, um, anyhow, I was just telling this guy that I was doing this to help other people, and to my job today, even in my call center, um is to help and empower those guys that are looking to achieve their goals, get there quicker. That's it.
Right.
And Zig Ziglar said this many years, uh, I guess ages ago. The more people that you help get what they want, you will eventually get what you want. And I will never forget that. Um, so that's been my focus in the last few years. It's
Well,
to
and
help.
that's something I learned from you, Ricardo, and just for whatever it's worth, I've taken that philosophy, right? And I'm applying that and helping other people that reach out to me. I always just think about me reaching out to you because now I'm in a position, thank God, I'm in a position where people reach out to me for questions or help or whatever. And every single time we're all busy, we all have stuff to do. But every single time I'm like, man, I don't got time. Nah, I'm like, you know what? That one time when I reached out to Ricardo, it changed my whole life, and I always think about that. And so I pay it forward every chance that I get as well. And so your your philosophy, runs through me, lives on through me, and is touching and blessing other people as well.
Awesome, brother. I'm happy that you're being able to help people, and I've seen that online. I've seen a lot of people from the real estate business jumping over to your side, which we're going to talk about that in a minute. And there's no more gratification that I get when I see like Krista, for instance. She posted a picture saying, "Hey, this is what I'm doing now, and thanks to my mentor CJ and blah blah blah, and we're gonna go buy businesses." And I'm like, "Clean, yeah." Like it's very gratifying to see that, number one, you're helping people transition over from something maybe that a lot of people get into real estate thinking is the ultimate goal, and that was my case. I thought when I first joined, the real estate community back in 2008, that I just wanted to be a real estate investor, have a bunch of rentals, because I read on a book somewhere that real estate is where it's at. And after, I don't know, 15 years, I'm not going to say I quit because I'm still doing real estate, but hey, there's more than real estate, guys. Like, there's another world out there that exists that you picked up on a real estate event that we did almost 2 years ago. I think it was almost 2 years ago when I remember you reaching out to me and said, "Ricardo, Robert Allen did a presentation. And in that presentation, he had a column on the entrepreneurial world. And his column was so big compared to the real estate. What are your thoughts on that?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Brother, he's right. It's just that we just don't know what we don't know."
Yes. Amen.
You
Amen.
know? And if we're not exposed to somebody like that, how are we even going to know that there is actually a better path to follow? So you've done a lot of real estate transactions, wholesaling, fixing and flipping, wholesaling, novations, the CJ method. I don't know what you want to call those methods that you explained to me with Carlos the one time that I was like, "Oh my God, what are these guys doing? They're freaking crazy. I want nothing to do with any of that." It sounds
I
too
check with the
complicated.
attorneys. It's all legal.
Bro, it was so complicated that I was like, no way I want to know. I don't even want to know how it's done. But I will consider you now an expert at the single family lane, because you've done pretty much every deal on the book on the single family lane
For sure.
multiple times over.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go from that to say, "I'm going to wholesale businesses"?
Well, and again, Ricardo, as my mentor, I even had to consult with you when I had the idea of wholesaling businesses, right? Because it didn't exist, right? I mean, I say this all the time. If you Google wholesaling businesses, anybody that's watching, go Google wholesaling businesses on your computer or your phone real quick, and you'll see that nothing pops up. E-commerce, Shopify, that type of stuff pops up, but not how we're talking about it, right? So I called you and I'm like, "Ricardo, am I going crazy here? Like, is this something that I'm just being dumb, whatever?" But you're like, "Hey, listen, man, like, no, that's a thing. Run with it, follow your gut." You know what I'm saying? And I did, so the way I came about it, obviously I've probably done, I don't know, maybe 500 or 600 real estate transactions in my short career. And so background, I have a CPA license, right? Master's in accounting, CPA, all of that. I left my corporate job to go wholesale houses because I didn't have any money, but I had a hard time listening to a boss, and I kept getting in trouble at work for talking too much. And so I left that, started wholesaling houses, created the pattern, kind of ended up plateauing after a little while, reached out to Ricardo. That really pushed me to the next level after that, and entered into a whole different world of real estate and scalability at that point. But I know one thing that Ricardo preached on was, always have your vision in mind and what's your purpose, like that's the biggest thing. Don't just stay right here looking at the next dollar, the next dollar, the next dollar. Right. And that was really, honestly, Ricardo, one of the biggest things that started formulating the questions for me, right? Of, is this my purpose? If I fast forward 10 years, just like the vision traction or organizer, the VTO talks about, is this where I want to be? Do I want to do real estate for my entire life? And like you, at one point, I did think that, but I got started interested back in like mergers and acquisitions, buying businesses. I don't know if that was just the accountant, the CPA in me or what, but as I started looking into that more, I was like, man, like it's pretty similar, right, to real estate, as far as the acquisitions goes. And so I joined a lot of mentorships, which I advise everybody out there, whatever you're learning, whatever you want to learn, pay the people that have already been there. Every dollar that I paid Ricardo back in the day it's come back 100x, and I highly encourage everybody to pay a mentor to get to where you're getting to as fast as you can. Ricardo, you use the method or the story or the example all the time of, you got the penthouse suite on the 100th floor or whatever, right? You can take the stairs and it'll take you forever and you'll be out of breath and sweaty by the time you get
By
up
the
there.
time you get there, you're done. You're dead. Like I'm glad you brought that up right now. Let's pause there for a second, CJ. We get sold in this idea of, let's talk about corporate America for those W2 people that are listening out there, right? Work hard, do the best you can, so maybe one day when you're 65 you can retire. And then when you're 65, yeah, you might have a few $1 million in your 401k or your bank account or whatnot, but you're tired of shit. And then were you able to live your life to the fullest of your real purpose in life? Right? Yep. So the other thing that we get is, okay, what is my purpose in life? Sometimes we just go through life and we don't know. I know I didn't know for many years. Like, why am I on this planet? Why am I on this earth? What, like, what am I here for? Right. And when sometimes we don't find out until something happens to us, and then we're like, oh, bingo, this is why I'm here. And your purpose may change over and over and over and over and over again.
Right.
We are constantly evolving and growing. But why would you want to wait until you're 65 or 70 to retire or make money? I don't even think I'm going to ever retire, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Now, I can choose whether I want to work or not. That's different. Maybe if you got a project and you're like, hey, Ricardo, I know we're both 70 and 75. I got this one project going on. Do you want to be a part of it or not? Maybe. Why not? Right? But it's a choice.
Yep.
And I want to live life to the fullest today.
Right.
Not when I'm 65 and so a lot of people go and don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on W2 people. I was a W2 guy for years. You were too.
Yep.
Right. And I love my job, by the way. I love going to the office, having my office on the 8th floor, and driving the Mercedes to back and forth to work. And I was like wearing like a suit and, like a real big shot, And I really enjoy that. And I'm not saying, for those of you guys that are out here, I'm not taking a jab at you, like, but I want you to like dig down deep inside of you and say, okay, what is my purpose in life? Is my purpose to go to work and die? Or to raise my children? Or that's another one. Okay, what is your purpose? My family and my children. I don't think that's your purpose, man. That's it. You gotta have other something else bigger than just your family and your children.
Yep.
Are they a main driver in your life, CJ? Of course they are.
For sure. But they're
So
not the
we're going.
whole, they're not the whole purpose, you know, and I think Jorge Valdez, you know, made a good point when we were in that mastermind with him in Orlando. You know, I think he asked Alex Rodriguez. He mentored Alex Rodriguez, right? And the former baseball player, and he asked him, "What's your purpose?" And he said, "I'm a baseball player." And he said, "No, it's not, because someday you're not going to be able to throw or hit the ball like you do right now." And I think that's the same with the children. Someday they're going to have their own lives. They're going to have their own families. And now, if you build your entire life based on that, you're going to have a real reality check when they have their stuff going on, right? And so you have to have a deeper purpose. I definitely agree with that.
So how do you find your purpose? Like, how do you redefine your purpose over and over and over? Because now I see you do it. Like, you had a purpose at one point of being a real estate investor. Today is to wholesale businesses and educate others on how to do it. How do you find, like, this is what I really want to do, other than consulting with me or whoever else you got on your inner circle?
Yeah, I think I always tell, you know, like Carlos or anybody that's in the community and the family, always trust your gut, right? And obviously pray about it, you know, see how you're feeling when you pray about it. And for me, just to kind of wrap up how I stumbled into it, I got into a bunch of mentorships. I found myself in this like 2-3 day blitz where I was make sure nobody's texting me here. Where I was in this 2 to 3 day blitz, Ricardo, where we were going over like, I don't know, 100+ ways on how to buy businesses, right? And I was kind of dozing off or whatever. He would spend 5-10 minutes on this way, that way, this way. And one of them that he mentioned, he took like 10 seconds on it. He was like, look, you can get a business for a discount. You can put it under contract and you can go find somebody, basically sell them the contract and make a fee. He's like, but that's boring. Who wants to do that? You know, let's move on from there. And I woke up and I'm like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Like, that sounds awfully familiar to what I know about real estate, right? And but everybody in that room was kind of like a landlord is with houses. They don't care about wholesaling. So I kind of just had to come back to Houston and like figure all this out by myself. And getting back to purpose, and that's kind of how I kind of started researching this idea, researching the opportunity, all these different things. But getting back to purpose, it can be really scary when you're starting something new, especially when it doesn't really exist. I mean, I've said this to you before. I bought wholesalingbusinesses.com for $11.99 from GoDaddy. Like, if you've ever bought a domain, those two common words should be a lot more expensive than that.
Wow.
But nobody ever thought to put those two together. So it can be scary when you're pushing forward with a dream or something that you have inside of you. For me, I'll be honest with you. When I quit my CPA job to go into wholesaling houses, I carried around some shame. And I know everybody, you know, wholesaling houses and flipping is sexy, right? But at the time, you got to understand, I was a nobody. I didn't have no proof of concept. I didn't have no nothing. All I had was a dream. And people would look at me and be like, you quit a very comfortable paying job as a CPA that took you 4 years in undergrad, 3 years for your master's, 2
Look
years
at
for 10 months for your CPA license, all of these things. Yep, there's a course right there. And it took you all that time to get that CPA license, and you're climbing up the corporate ladder, and you dumped all of that to go into wholesaling, that there is no barrier to entry. Anybody, any Joe Schmo off the street can go wholesale houses. And I carried around shame. I was almost embarrassed to tell people that I had just quit my job to go do wholesaling houses, right? I mean, truth be told, you know, my suegra, my mother-in-law, you know, wasn't too happy with me, right? She's like, how are you going to take care of my daughter, my wife or whatever? And it was just a real big shame. Now, You fast forward, I had all the learning and the bumps and bruises in real estate, and I learned so much, right? Then my two worlds collided because the CPA background and understanding how to read financials in a business and understanding the wholesaling model and how to market and create a company that just spits out revenue, I was able to finally collide them and mold them together into wholesaling and buying businesses. And that's when it hit me that God has a purpose for everything that you do. Everything happens for a reason, even though in that moment you may not understand. Like there was times, Ricardo, where I would sit there not making any money in wholesaling. I'm looking at my previous CPA salary like, man, it would be really nice to get one of those checks again, from my corporate job, but questioning it. But now, after all of that, there was a reason why I had to go through everything that I did. And that's how I kind of came across my purpose. So the point is, everything you're going through, all the struggles, all the storms that you have, the challenges, in the moment, it doesn't make sense. In the moment, you're not going to be like, oh, this is why I'm struggling right now, or this is why I'm broke right now, or this is why I'm crying myself to sleep at night right now. You're not going to understand it. But take it from Ricardo, take it from me, that there is a greater purpose for what you're going through. It's just not clear to you right here, right now. So that's how I found my purpose.
There is a book called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Mm.
I highly suggest, if you're watching this or listening to this podcast, go grab that book, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. With the first time I read that book, CJ, I was in the oil and gas business, and I was actually bored out of my mind in the Singapore airport. I was on my way to Australia to do a job offshore, and somewhere along the line, I heard about the book, and I heard about being one of the greatest books ever. So I saw it in Changi Airport, and I went and grabbed it, and I read half of the book on my way to Australia, and I was lost. I was like, man, what is this book talking about? Because it was talking about a journey of a guy, and on my way back, I read the other half, and man, I was completely surprised. I was drinking I was having some drinks on the airplane on the way back to Singapore. It was like a 7-hour flight.
Yeah.
And but I'm reading this book and I'm into the book, and all of a sudden, man, I just started laughing out loud. Like people were watching me like this guy's drunk and crazy or something. And the reason why that happened, CJ, is because right at that moment is when I realized why so many things happened to me in my life. It all clicked. And I was like, I had an aha moment of I think that is the first big aha moment that I've ever had in my entire life.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, what is this? Like, I didn't get the book at the beginning, but now I get it. And look, man, right after that, I started thinking about everything that happened in my life and analyzing on how most of my challenges and setbacks were just taking me to a better place every single time. And like you said, it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't seem that way when it's happening to you. Because like you said, when you're broke and you're like, oh, I got no money, but then later on you eventually conquer that challenge.
Right.
You're like, oh, I remember when I was broke and this is what I did, to get out of being broke or to be, or I, I honestly, I don't even like that saying that I'm broke or I was broke, or I always say I had a cash flow problem.
There you go.
I have
Politically
more money.
correct.
I have more money going out than I had coming in. And I just found myself with no money at the time because I've always believed I've been rich in my head.
Mm.
And riches materialize. For riches to materialize in your life, you have to see it inside of your mind first.
Everything starts with an idea.
Everything starts with an idea. So so you're in real estate at the moment, and you stumbled into this wholesaling business's idea. What that? How does your first wholesale business deal look like?
Yeah. I talk. You talk about this before, but it was an HVAC company here in Houston, and here was the issue. I guess the need in the market space for our skills, how we know how to go market, is that everybody in the buying business space, all the gurus, and I've taken all their courses. I'm part of their communities. Roland Frazier, Carl Allen, Jay Abraham, Cody Sanchez, Jeremy Harbor overseas, all of these guys, they all say this is how they teach you to market. All great people, but they teach you to market like this: either look in your phone book or go to Biz Buy Sell and sift through hundreds of deals, and eventually you'll find a broker and they're going to give you one that maybe works at a retail level for you, and that's how you find your deals. Well, you and I know, and everybody watching that's in real estate, that's like telling us you got to go find all your deals on the MLS, right? And that don't work for us. We know that there's another market, another world, and that's off market leads, right? So that's where I came in. I figured out all these different, business directory websites and contact information. And I used all the skills of, finding business owners and connecting with business owners that I learned in real estate. And I simply applied it over here to the business world. And I mean, it's so unsaturated, the off-market space, that direct mail still works, right? I mean, literally, I got off the phone earlier today with a direct mail lead, general contracting company here in Houston, makes about $2.5 million, 65 years old, ready to retire, right? So, and I actually ran a test. I was speaking on another platform, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna just do this live for you guys. And I looked up. I just took the HVAC industry, and I looked up. Hey, what is the on market available deals for HVAC businesses in the country, and what is the off market available businesses in the HVAC world in this country? On market at that time, there was 297 HVAC on market deals available in the United States of America. That means everybody is fighting over 297 deals, and probably more than half are garbage, right? So then I said, okay, well, let me see just how many companies are available, HVAC companies. So I went to the database, pulled up the HVAC companies. There was roughly 300,000 HVAC businesses that exist in this country. So we got this little, slice of 297 HVAC companies that all the gurus are telling you to go look at. And then we have 300,000 businesses off market that nobody's talking to. And that's when I saw, wait a minute, if I simply apply the off-market tactics and strategies that I know how to do in real estate, because we're damn near private investigators sometimes in real estate. I mean, we literally hire PIs a lot of times, right? If I simply apply all of that to business owners, what's the difference here? And to this day, I get people like, hey, man, I got this letter or whatever. Like I've never seen a letter that says we buy businesses before. Right. And so that's how unsaturated the market really is with these businesses. So anyway, had a direct mail campaign. Again, it's unsaturated, so it works. I sent a direct mail campaign out, and I had a guy call me. Name was Robert. Got to talking. And I think the thing that really kind of stood out to me was, I mean, it was cash flowing, good money. But I literally asked the guy, I said, hey, Robert, like, Why don't you leave this to your kids? Because I think that's one of the most common questions that we have as limiting beliefs, is that why would anybody with a business that's making money want to sell? And if they do want to sell, why don't they just give it to their kids? Well, a lot of these kids, just like Robert's case, one of them was in medical school or medical something, and the other one wanted to be like an Instagram, TikTok influencers, star or whatever. Neither one of them cared about HVAC. They didn't care to touch it at all. So you have a guy who has two kids who want nothing to do with a 20, 25 year plus business that he's built, but generates amazing cash flow, but he's almost 70 years old. What is he going to do? And I say this all the time. Houses are, I call them a recyclable asset, because if you walk away from a mortgage or you don't pay your property taxes or somebody forecloses on you, like a landlord or a owner finance type deal, somehow or other, it's going to get back in circulation through the county, through the investors, whatever. It's going to get recirculated with an entity. As a business owner, we know this. An LLC, corporation, C Corp, S Corp, whatever you have set up. If you close your doors, just crumple up the piece of paper and throw it in the trash, because there's no reviving it at that point. It doesn't stay in circulation. So the options for Robert was, I can continue working. He had just had some sort of heart surgery not too long prior to that, and so he, that really affects your mindset. Like, what's really important in life? Spending time with my wife, traveling, whatever, grandkids, whatever the things are, or here every day working. I've done that already. So his options were work until you die, basically, close shop, and now you have no money coming in, or you could work with CJ, right? And I'll buy it, or I'll wholesale it, or whatever. And I think the beauty about this is, first and foremost, when you're calling homeowners, you always worrying about spam tags. Oh, is the number good? And let me refresh my numbers and buy new numbers. And I want to make sure it doesn't come up as spam. When you call business owners, their line is open. They're waiting for you to call them, right? Like, you don't got to worry about none of that stuff. And secondly, this is the more important thing. They're more motivated than a homeowner is, because as a business owner, Ricardo, you've built multiple businesses, have multiple businesses. There are certain stresses that the average homeowner will never have to deal with. And that is, I got other people that depend on me to put food on their family's table. And that is one of the biggest, most stressful things that a business owner can go through, right? And so these guys have so much more motivation than a homeowner. So that's kind of how I came across my first deal. I had a guy out in Florida that was kind of like, mentoring me, right? And kind of walking me through the process. He had a buyer, found the buyer, assigned it over to them. You want me to share numbers, or do you care?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we got it under contract for $650,000, and we assigned it out to the end buyer for $790,000, which equated to $140,000 wholesale fee on one deal with one little business in Houston. And nobody's talking to these people, right? So it was just so easy. Like, at that point, when that happens, all the light bulbs start just going off. Like, holy moly, like, what have I been doing this whole time? We talked about this offline. Real estate is saturated, and I didn't run from real estate. I ran to an opportunity, right? And that's what I want everybody to kind of just question. Listen, if real estate's your passion and you love it, and you just get up in the morning and it's just in your DNA, that's cool. But Ricardo's been there, I've been there, things change. And we just want y'all to know that there's other options and things that you can do. It's not a question of can I, it's a question of should I, right? I know, Ricardo, if you wanted to, you could pick up right here, right now, and go build a multiple seven-figure wholesaling company like that. Same with me. But the grind, and it's like, wait a minute, is my ROI on my time, on my energy better spent here in the real estate saturated world? Or for me, is it better spent? Is 8 hours better spent in real estate, or is 8 hours better spent talking to homeowners that are business owners that nobody else is talking to? And that was the question right there for me. So we talked about it offline, but I'm in the process of kind of divesting myself and dwindling down my real estate company, and we're full gas, pedal to the metal on buying and wholesaling businesses.
That's amazing. I'm the same way with my call center, right? I'm just focused on that, and I see my call center as the landlord business. So we cash flow on people. Basically, we're in the human resources business now,
Yeah.
and each person I employ or we employ, I see them as an asset. So they're an asset inside of our company. And now is how do we monetize the asset, right? Like how do we um and how do we make sure they get paid very well? That way they're always with us for a very long time.
Mhm.
And this is the difference I saw in between owning a rental house and what I do now. For me to buy, fix, rehab, refinance a property, I need to sign on a loan. I need to bring money to the table, most likely to closing or whatnot, even though we know how we do it without money and all that. But let's pretend on this deal we're putting money on up front for something. Um, and you always put money up front, whether it's marketing or one way or another, you got operating expenses.
Yep.
And then it takes me 3 to 6 months to rehab the property and then put a tenant in it, refinance it, so I can make $300-400 a month, right?
And that's, hey, Ricardo, I'll tell you what, I had somebody from California with California money tell me, hey, CJ, listen, I know you're not in real estate a lot anymore, but can you find me something that cash flows $300? And my initial thought was, I'm going to go to the MLS and I'm going to find this in 15
Right.
minutes, right?
Right.
Couldn't find anything. That's how tough and saturated this market is. The interest rates are too high. The insurance is too high. Everything's just sky high. You can't even find $150. I mean, again, a deep discount off market house. Yes, that's out there. But for the most part, $150 cash flow on a rental is like, man, you found yourself a pretty solid deal right now. And you compare that, again, can I or should I? You compare that to a small little washateria, a small little car wash or something that banks $5,000 net every single month. You tell me which one you would rather do, right? Corey said this, and I totally agree with him. Real estate is not a wealth creation tool, right? If you don't have a lot of money in real estate, you're not going to make millions and millions and millions, more than likely, right? Now, real estate is a wealth preservation tool. If you already have a ton of money, then go park it in real estate, a good asset class, multifamily, single family, whatever you want. But if you're trying to come up in the game and financially in life, it is very, very, very hard to do in the real estate space.
One of the things I noticed when we were buying houses left and right from landlords, that was the number one seller for us. Is a tire landlord, right? And most of these people were real estate investors for the most part of their lives. You know, they're in their 60s and 70s now, dumping these properties.
Yep.
And my question to me was, do I want to be that guy? When I'm 65 or 70, getting rid of the headache because I'm like, I don't want to tolerate the tenants anymore. And the answer was no. Like, I don't want to be that guy, right? I'm not saying don't buy real estate and preserve it. Yeah, buy a few properties. You don't. We get caught up on this deal that I gotta have 100 properties or 200 properties. That's ridiculous. Like, if you want that many doors, go invest in single family, in a multifamily, or go get some commercial buildings. Period. Right. But having that many houses is almost like, unless you're a hedge fund and you can throw money at taking care of all these properties, it's stupid in a way, because you build yourself a rat race a trap, a big trap. I think the safest thing is some of my friends have done this. They got 5 to 10 houses. Hey, that's manageable. And guess what? In 20 years, that's $2-3 million worth of assets they have there that somebody else paid for. Magnificent. No problems. So getting caught up on scaling rentals in a way to me is like, unless you're a hedge fund, I don't see why you're gonna do that. If you want multiple doors, go a multifamily route. Don't go the single family route. But my thing was for me to get a rental property and make $300-400 a month, which is good cash flow in what you're saying right now, because of the saturation we have on the market. I can hire and train somebody, and in 2 weeks, I'm making the same amount of cash flow.
And no capital investment.
Well, I got an investment because I gotta buy them a computer, I gotta buy a desk, I gotta train them. So part of their training is on my bill, basically, right? I'm paying for it. But I'll give you an example. So let's say, and I know the number to the T, but I cannot say it online. But let's say I spend roughly, or I invest $2,000 getting somebody started in my business. Every business, and this is a matrix people need to, if you're a business owner and you don't know how much it costs you to hire somebody, you need to go run that number. That's number one. How much does it cost to hire somebody? Number two, how much does it cost to train them? You have to train them. Right. Even if they come with previous training from another organization, you still want to train him under your new umbrella, under your brand, under your way of doing things. And how long does it take for that person to come up on your business, right? Second number you gotta have is, and then number three is how much does it actually get you to invest to get them going. So let's say it costs me $2,000 to get somebody going. Okay, I'm just throwing a number out there. Well, if I have to hire 10, that's 20 grand. So people that want to get it, oh, Ricardo, it's so pretty to be in the VA business. Oh, yeah? How many people you want to have in your VA company? Oh, I want to have 200. Okay, so do the math. It cost me $2,000 to get somebody going, and you want 200, so that's pretty simple. 200 times 2,000. That's 400 grand. You got 400 grand hanging around your pockets so you can get going? Right? Right?
That's crazy.
Right? So, and they're like, what? Yeah, you gotta invest in the team. You gotta have an infrastructure, phone systems, computer. Oh, there's the list goes on.
Yeah.
I've invested at least $500,000 on my call center with very little return. I'm barely starting to kind of like catch up after 3 or 4 years. So guess what I have in mind? Man, when this thing is at the top, I'm selling it. Because
I know a guy that can help you.
I know. CJ, good thing I got him on speed dial. Right? So, but think about it. Are we taught into selling businesses? And the answer is no.
Nope. And I think they're in school, for the most part, predominantly they preach your 9 to 5. Go to school, go to college, get a good degree, go work for somebody for 30, 40 years. And like you said earlier, hopefully when you retire, the sad truth is that hopefully you don't die before your 401k money runs out. That's the reality of it, right? The second thing that's much less, it's taught much less, still not a good thing in my opinion, but is if you're going to be an entrepreneur, go the startup route. And that's also, you look at the stats on that, 90% of startups fail in the first 2 years.
I think 99, man. 99. Just like
99. Yeah, exactly. And there's a third option, right? You said it earlier. We don't know what we don't know. And they never told us, well, wait a minute. What about these small cash flowing businesses that are owned by baby boomers. 87% of small cash flowing businesses are owned by either Gen Xers or baby boomers. They're all looking to retire very soon or now. And you could just go buy those. It's the equivalent, Ricardo. Let's think about this. There's only a small fraction of real estate investors that go build and develop brand new houses from the dirt up. Why do all of us go find a house that already exists, that already has a decent roof on it or decent foundation and framework, and go flip that instead? Because it already exists and there's already infrastructure and there's some things that we can do to just lay on top of it, rehab it, and sell it. It's the same with businesses. Don't go start from the dirt up because the odds are stacked against you. Go find the baby boomer that has a business that's been in business for 30, 40 years, that's looking to retire, that has no other options, and they are going to work with you, and you get it under contract, and you either keep it or you wholesale it and make $140,000 assignment fee on it.
How many baby boomers are coming due on their businesses?
You mean like selling their businesses?
Like, yeah, they're getting ready to exit.
Well, the stat is that 87% of all the small businesses in the country are owned by baby boomers or Gen Xers, older Gen Xers. And the stat is that there's 10,000 baby boomers that are retiring every single day. And I think it's between 10 and 15% of those own small businesses of those 10,000 that are retiring every day. So you could say between 100 to 200 businesses are just falling down in the trash, never to be recovered, because we're not out there simply asking the question, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Business Owner, have you ever considered selling before? But for whatever reason, we all pump all this energy. Everybody yells at you. You got to go tell every single person you know and knock on every single door. And you got to talk to 100 homeowners and knock on 100 doors and ask them, have they ever thought of selling before? But the limiting belief is that you got to have millions and millions of dollars because otherwise you can't buy a business. So we don't ask business owners, have you ever thought of selling before? Well, they're human, just like a homeowner is. They got problems and motivations, even more motivations than a homeowner does.
Not only that, on a business, what is the average return someone can get by selling a business?
For the business owner,
like X-wise, right? Like on a software
2 to 3x,
business,
normally 2 to 3x. So if a business owner, net income, not gross, but net income, if they're making, let's say, $250,000 in net after everything's said and done, you can get somewhere between $500,000 and $750,000 for that business.
Amazing. So you see, why not build a business where you can exit 3x, right? And that's being conservative. A software company can be 12x.
Oh yeah. Certain industries are, like electrical companies, SaaS companies, service as a software companies, those are 10, 15, I've seen 18, 19x before on those types of businesses. And here's the fun part. This is the multiplier that you will never be able to experience in real estate. When your net income below $1 million, your valuation is, like we said, 2 to 3x, right? But when your net income is above $1 million, you automatically get put in a 5x or higher category. So that means I could go buy, let's say, 2 companies that are making $500,000 in net income, and they tell me I want to sell for 3x. That's $1.5 million for company A. Now I got $500,000 in net income, $1.5 million for company B. Now I have $1 million in net income. So I paid $3 million for $1 million in net income. But now I don't change nothing. I just combine them. I get to go sell it for $5 million. This is something you can't do in real estate. You can't multiply like that. For whatever reason, I didn't make the rules. I just play the game. So don't hate the player, hate the game. But that is, to me, like when I had to reread that, and rewatch that and rethink about that and rechew on that, because I'm like, just because I don't get it. It's just osmosis. It's magic. But that is the ultimate, like what I love to teach my students. That's the bigger picture right there. Go buy all these little small cash flowing businesses in a related industry, roll them up. They call it a roll up in the mergers and acquisition space. And you could package it after you make get $1 million in net income and go cash out.
Amazing, brother. I think we got to do this again over and over and over again. I'm going to think about a new branding for the podcast because we're talking business now. We're not just talking real estate. Real estate is just part of the business. How can people get in contact with you, CJ?
You can find me on Instagram at allday.cj. You can find me on Facebook, just CJ Silvas. Or you can email me if you want, cj@wholesalingbusinesses.com. And I'm very glad, Ricardo, that we were able to make some time. I'm actually glad we did this in the afternoon and not the morning when I don't know if it was China or Russia hacked Instagram and Facebook earlier today and blocked everything, man. Did you see that?
I was blocked. I was like, I sent my team a message like, guys, you guys got me blocked on Facebook. I don't know what's going on. But then I started, even YouTube, man, like I was watching some YouTube videos and he was acting up. And I said, okay, so the world is ending right now. I'm just going to go focus on something else.
Bro, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. Did you get caught where the AT&T blocked?
I was in South America.
Yeah, I had an SOS message and I made a post, bro. I made a post that like 2 days before that SOS AT&T thing happened, that the FBI came out and said that we are at an all-time high of cyber attacks from China and, Russia and all these places. So that happened, last week or whatever. Today, everybody's locked out of their social media. I don't want to put a tinfoil hat on, but what do you think? You think this is just a coincidence?
No, there's no coincidence, man. There's always a plan behind it, and whoever went and hacked all these platforms, they had an agenda, and it's scary, man, because a lot of people they run their businesses from social media, and social media is sort of our main center today on how we conduct ourselves business wise, how we connect with people. Like I send you the link through Facebook, not even through email. It was, hey, I sent you the Facebook link, and I think there needs to be more platforms out there. I think Facebook got too much power, and so does Instagram, and I don't know, man. But all I can say is I'm just adjusting one day at a time, and it didn't keep me up. This morning when that whole thing happened, I was like, you know what? I'll go work on something else. I'm not gonna sweat it. But if you were to lose your Facebook account today or your Instagram account, I'll be in bad shape, brother. Like
that's what I was thinking, Ricardo. Like, man, wait a minute. If I could never recover my Instagram or my Facebook, you know how many people we don't have their phone numbers or their emails? It's just we're friends online,
if I were Facebook, to be honest with you, and this is against maybe what people want, I would start charging.
They have a service now in I think they did it in the UK where you can pay for no advertisements to come up on your feed now.
How much can Facebook be worth if they charged a $9.97 subscription a month?
I mean,
how many users do they have? I've been thinking about this. Now they're
crazy.
They have all the data in the world, right? Because they know how we behave. They know what we watch, what we do, what we eat. They know where we travel, when we sleep and when we're awake. They know everything. And now, on top of that data, they start collecting revenue. How much will they be worth? I don't know why they haven't done it, to be honest with you.
I mean, I'm telling you, they just started the whole, you got to think back to like right now, the state of TV commercials is like, it's almost getting phased out. But back in the day, TV commercials were the most expensive thing you could do because everybody watched TV. But then when the subscriptions came out, no commercials, Netflix, all these different platforms, the commercials, nobody was watching them anymore, so they get phased out. So if you take that and you apply it to this new age of social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, if you're in the space of making Instagram ads, making Facebook ads, if your business is really run and driven a lot off of the commercials of today, of the ads of today, you need to look ahead and decide what the future holds for you, because the moment it's going to happen, they're going to start making us pay, and it's going to be ad free at that point. Well, guess what? All that money you pumped into those ads, they're not going to be on my feed anymore.
Wow. Well, brother, thank you so much for being here today. Don't forget to hit share, like, and subscribe, guys. Go find CJ at allday.cj on Instagram and Facebook. Also, go to his website, which is wholesalingbusinesses.com. Dude, that domain itself is worth gazillions. Like that was a classic move, man. Congratulations on having that domain. I don't know why I didn't think of that. And I don't know how many people didn't think of getting that domain before. When did you get that domain, by the way?
Had to have been like early 2023, maybe late 2022.
So it was just last year.
Yeah.
Wow, and that domain was up for grabs for $11.99.
Unsaturated, man. Nobody ever thought about it.
Look, when I bought same as cash.com, that was $5,000 I had to pay.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a common the common word. You're going to pay for it.
This is back in 2016, maybe, or 15. So that domain, wow. I've owned that domain now for 8-9 years old.
How much almost you can get for it today?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I should sell it. I don't use it anymore. So
I bet you can get 25.
Do you know somebody can wholesale it for me?
I'll give you 5 for it, so I can go sell it.
No, I'm gonna sit on that one until I get what I want. But I think when I was running the website, a lot of people were hitting us up thinking that we were a payday loan company type deal.
Okay.
So I think that's a good domain for one of those companies
for sure,
and a good name as well. So maybe I'll sell the LLC with everything on it. So
there you go.
Anyhow, brother, let's connect again soon. Don't forget to hit share, like, and subscribe. Go find CJ, and I'll see you on the next one.
See you later, guys.